What up, folks? Damn, I love that part. Always have, always will. I love the fact that, well, one, how are people watching us already? We just started. Well, I guess there was the countdown that was technically live. That's fantastic. Thanks for joining us already, people. We're super, super excited. If you might notice, we got another beautiful face back, and I'm very, very, very excited. Maddie, welcome back, my brother. How you doing, dude?
Oh man, I'm amazing. I have missed this. That is for sure. I've been watching though. I've been in the background there watching, but I had a lot of things going on. I'm sure we'll get into it, but man, it's so good to be back, and I love doing this. And yeah, man, I'm ready to get going.
Hell yes. And pasta, I'm going to introduce you as Brain Pasta for the first time, but then we're going to go Brain. Welcome to the show. You've heard a little bit about it. You stoked, you excited, you nervous. You can be open with us. How you feeling, brother? Up, you're muted. Something happened.
Yeah, we lost audio.
Can't hear you. It's all good. Don't worry. Like I said, I'll be screwing this up a lot more. Oh, I hear noise. I
I can
hear a
hear
little
you.
bit of noise.
I
All
can hear
right.
Now
you.
we got it.
Yeah, no, dude, it's no big deal. Did you hear everything I said or no?
I didn't hear anything. No, that's why I was making those funny faces ever since I popped
Nah,
up.
it's all good. So, Brain Pasta, welcome to the show. We're gonna keep on calling you Brain the rest of the night.
Cool.
Super excited to have you. How you feeling? You excited? Maybe a little bit nervous? And if you are, I can't wait to soothe those nerves because it's gonna be beautiful, baby.
I'm excited. It's cool. This is the first ever recorded podcast I've done where I'm not like sitting in front of somebody else's camera. I'm actually
Nice.
at home. Yeah, so should be fun.
Awesome. So we're gonna do a little housekeeping before we get into the main show. First of all, Maddie, I'm gonna put you on the spot and make throw you a curveball. Since you're back, tell us a little bit about what you've been up to, and maybe for somebody, because I've built a cool audience over the last, let's say, 6 months, and you've been back a couple of times, but give them a little bit of background about you, what you're up to right now, and what you've been up to, and let the beautiful audience know, man.
Sure, sure. So, if you haven't met me before, Mikey and I have been friends for over 30 years. We met at the fourth grade bus stop, and we've been friends ever since. So we've known each other a long time, and we balance each other well. And we were able to go to college together. It was fantastic. I was the engineering major. He was the graphic design guy. So we kind of have both sides of the brain covered. And yeah, man, we've been good friends a long time, and one of the things that has always united us is just a love for helping people and being involved. And as we reconnected a lot, like many people did during COVID, and all of us were stuck kind of working at home, figuring things out, and we actually reconnected just playing some games and talking, and we were excited about there's so many business opportunities out there. And what really happened was he kept telling me about these things called NFTs. And a little background is that Mikey has always had an idea, some type of scheme, some type of plan. This is how we're going to make it. And so when I heard this, I was like, okay, tell me about it. But then he started telling me more details and showing me some of the dollars, and that got my interest. So anyway, that's what got me into this sphere and Web3. And what started out as something we thought might be something we do with like video games, something like that, turned into just a really amazing podcast with us interviewing the who's who of the Web3 world. And it's been amazing. So took a break. I actually spent some time overseas. I got to live in Italy for a little bit, and I moved from where I was originally at the DC area down to Florida, which is where I'm at now, and totally did like a life pivot in real estate, and it's been amazing. So definitely has some major changes, but I'm excited to be back. Things are a lot more stable now. There was a lot of flux there for a little bit, and yeah, man, it's just been in touch with Mikey the whole time. We've been chatting. I know he's been crushing it on here with the show, and just excited to be back, man. It's been really good. A lot of life changes.
Hell yeah. Thanks for that. So, just a couple updates about me, Brain. The other thing that I said is you're going to see me look down from periodically from time to time. I'm just writing notes, so we have some information after the show. Don't act like you're not paying attention to you. As far as updates on my front, we're going to be using this podcast as a base for a couple business ideas that I'm super excited about. So, the more you all tune in, the more you listen, the better you're actually going to help Maddie and I out in the long run. So, if you really believe in us, please tune in as much as you can. With some really, really cool ideas that we'll talk about, brains. Finally, always want to repeat Monday through Friday, I have the honor to co-host the space with one of the legends as well. The brain is Mr. JR, building a company called The District. We have an amazing vibe, really cool family, and that is every night around 7:30 p.m. PST or 10:30 EST. So that with the really working hard in the last couple of weeks of building these businesses. And if you're in DSK, you've heard about them, and just pay attention to the Twitter because we'll just keep on revealing more and more. And I'm really, really excited to finally talk about my thesis, which is I believe it's brand 3.0. It is Web 3.0, but in my mind, it's brand 3.0. That was my original thesis when I came into this space, and I'm still here. And I think we have opportunity to do this. So with that being said, let's get down to the nitty gritty. Like to do formal introductions here at Midlife. We don't like to just say, hey, BrainPasta, welcome to the show, and get into it like those spaces that I still don't love, but we do anyways. First off, he is a skateboarder turned artist, which is interesting. And we'll talk about this. A lot of skateboarders I know have turned artists. So there's something about culture and art there that I've heard this before. This is really cool because I'm open about me going through like my major depressive disorder and depression stuff. And I think that's something very important to me to be able to talk about that openly. Rain himself has been diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia, and he is open to talk about that too. So I can't wait to kind of go through this journey, and we'll probably touch on that as we have the conversation. Finally, collaborated with international artists all over the world. He's an avid traveler. And then this is the most fun part. We always get a little juicy tidbit. And Brain shared this with us. He was suspended from high school his junior and senior year for deciding to stay true to a bet, which you do at that age in life, and moon a lot of people in school. But here's the crazy thing. We asked, like, okay, you got suspended, but for how long? 6 months. And not only did he get suspended, he had to do 480 hours of community service. Now, listen, when you're a high schooler and you moon on a dare, that seems a little aggressive as a punishment. But how'd I do, Brain? Did I do it right? Did I do you justice there?
Yeah. I mean, it was an expensive pair of shoes that my friend bet me, and he gave them to me. But when I ended up finding out who actually was a part of the people who told on me, he was a part of that list. So my whole perspective of reality shifted at that point. They tried to turn me into a villain early, but it didn't work.
I love it. So, with that intro, thanks for sharing that information. We're going to get right into it, man. World famous midlife crisis question. How'd you get the seat you're sitting in today, Brain? Please give us episode 1, 2, and 3. To reiterate for the audience that is new, episode 1 is the childhood. Episode 2 is kind of the middle of your life, professional career, whether you went to school, what did you do for a living? And then episode 3, why a lot of us are here, is this beautiful web journey and Web3 journey, and how'd you get into Web3 and what does the future look like? So start with episode 1. Hit us, man. Cannot wait to hear it.
episode 1, how I got here today. I mean, I got to give it up to my grandma. You know,
Nice.
she taught me a lot of what I know about art. But yeah, I grew up like you told people, as a skateboarder. I was skipping school at one point, but yeah, always hanging out with my friends. You know, skating all day, playing video games all night. That's why I'm not tall. And you know, just I had fun. But I think, yeah, you were saying, you know, a lot of skateboarders turned artists. It's because it's got a lot to do with creativity. You know, um, we do a lot of expression. You know, a lot of tricks are expressive. A lot of like the videos we make, it's creative. Even down to like music that we listen to with skateboarding. But
Right. And I never thought about that until a couple have come on, but you do a massive amount of like video production, graphic design, like that.
yeah.
Like, can you talk to me about that experience a little bit, about how that impacted you as an artist? Was it more on the video side? Do you feel like you just got exposure to more types of art? Like, what did that look like to you?
So, I mean, you could tell like the way I was gonna grow up into an artist by the way that I looked at Tony Hawk's tricks and I said, "Oh, these are so ugly." Most people would look at them and be like, "Oh, these are crazy," but like the way that I looked at him, I was like, "Oh, he looks weird when he does his tricks." Even though, you know, he's a goat, he does a lot of crazy things. But yeah, no. The videos that I'd watched, you know, Baker. There was this one video, it's something spirit. It's like crazy expression. The generation that I grew up with in skateboarding, really caused me to like have that creative kind of outlook. Also, I was a filmer.
Mhm.
I actually found a camera at like 10 o'clock at night. I was alone by myself at the park, and there was just a camera chilling there. Nikon DSLR 5100 with a fisheye on it. And
CIA had to dip after they got busted or something like that. That's wild, finding a Nikon like that.
yeah, and this was in like 2013. So that specific camera at the time was expensive.
Mhm.
And the way that my life, like, you know, took a shift at that point, that was like 2 days before I moved across country from like the city that I lived in, like Wayne County, Michigan, to Gilbert, Arizona. So I had this camera, and I knew nobody. What I ended up doing was just, you know, filming almost everybody that I thought was good at skating, and made my own little videos. Um, you know, I hate making videos. I'll be honest. The
Uh-huh.
the time that goes into it,
It's
it's
insane.
I feel like I'm wasting my life. Um, and you know, I would put more and more time into every single video, but I wish at that age I had more people to do it with me, because I feel like my footage and everything would have just helped me, like, you know, I could have became the next famous filmer. But you know, didn't end up happening like that. Still made some cool videos, got along with a lot of people, was able to express myself the way that I wanted to, and it was really nice.
Nice. Yeah. So before we get, because I'm feeling like we're already getting to some really juicy stuff. Just to rewind a couple things.
Yeah.
One, you said a couple really interesting things, and I'll ask one, and then I'll turn it over to Maddie because I know he's writing down and has beautiful thoughts already. The one thing that you said that was actually the most striking to me is you saw Tony Hawk's tricks and you were like, ew, where everyone else was like, dude, this guy is incredible.
Mm.
Talk to me about that on like, was it just something like inherent inside you that you were like, nah, that's just not cool. I can do it better or different. Like that's just fascinating to me because most people would immediately be like, he is fucking awesome, right?
Well, I mean, his vert skating is really good. Like, you know, he did the 900, he did all the like varial like flips and things, but he also had this like skate school on people watching, you know, if anybody remembers, but it was on demand. I had Comcast cable, and there was this thing called Skate School. You go and watch it. Tony Hawk teaching you all these flat ground tricks. If you've ever seen his flat ground, that's, you know, when you're just skating on the flat ground, your tricks are garbage. I mean, his tricks are garbage. Like, you know, he could do a lot of them, but they look terrible. And that made me not want to watch the rest of him, even though I learned a lot of tricks from that. I would watch more of Bob Burnquist or Danny Way. And that made me want to skate street skating even more, instead of paying attention to like transition skating. So I think that also led to my creativeness, like coming out of the shell, because I wasn't boxed into just ramps. I was looking for more things in the streets and yeah, skateboarding.
Yeah.
And that's how I also got into like graffiti and street art as well. Yeah, and that's what led me into pursuing painting, is because while I was doing graffiti, like all I really cared about was painting and art, and I was mad at the world.
Right. No, that totally makes sense. And thank you for that insight. Maddie, I'll let you take it away.
Sure. Yeah. You actually just ended with one of the things I was going for, which was there had to be a connection between the skating and the art. And I thought it was going to be graffiti, and you definitely kind of connected those dots for me. So here's my question. What were some of your big influences when you were younger that you would say either pushed you or pulled you towards skating in general? What was it? Did you just get a skateboard for Christmas? Was it like that? Was the group of friends you had? Where did that come from? Because I feel like the cliques we find ourselves in at a young age are such a big influence, like who we become as a person. So where did that come from?
So I had bad hand-eye coordination, and I would try and play sports. Like I really wanted to play football. I really wanted to be good. They would never pick me for their teams. Basketball, I just didn't know how to run and dribble at the same time. You know, now I do, but like back then, like, you know, I couldn't. Nobody would pick me. Baseball, forget it. So when I seen skateboarding, I was like, okay, this is not really a team sport. You know, everybody acts like we're all on a team, but like I don't need to like fit in like that. And everybody just, you know, doesn't care like what level you're at. You're part of the crew. No discrimination. It's all inclusive. And what eventually like led to me really pursuing that was I was in wrestling, right? And I like broke my toe pretty much wrestling, and I didn't want to do it. And at that point, I was just like, "Yo, I'm giving up wrestling and just skateboarding." And that was the click where it was like, okay, these sports things. Maybe I'm not a team sports player. I'm an extreme sport player. And yeah, that was kind of the transition right there, where it was like, okay, this is cool.
Beautiful.
So that counterculture is came from, it's like, okay, no football, basketball, like the big main sports that people associate when you're growing up. By not being involved in those, it kind of almost pushed you into something else, and then that creates maybe that counterculture within skateboarding. Is that what you think?
Yep. I mean, a lot of yeah, completely.
That's fantastic. So that's where, and then just to lead forward, that's where you got into graffiti. Did you have any mentors in that world that brought you in and taught you how to tag and do those type of things?
Mhm.
So I didn't get into it until like my late 20s, really. Like I used to draw on things, but like never like the way that I did like in my late 20s. The person who actually like helped me out the most was some girl at my old job. She would just like show me bubble letters, and then she's like sit there at work and draw the alphabet over and 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 over. Yeah. So like my notebooks would be completely full of just like A's and B's and and C's and R's and you know. And then there was this kid in Arizona that seen my actual art on Instagram. And I used to teach him how to skateboard. Um, and he kept hitting me up and asking me like, "Hey, do you want to come out and tag? Do you want to come out and tag?" And then when I finally like got arthritis in my ankle, because I ended up getting arthritis in my ankle, that's what led me to just switching completely. Like, yeah, I'm mad. I need to go get rid of some frustration. I can't do that at this office job. People, people they just keep telling me their problems on this phone when I tell them that they need to pay for their car. What do I do? What do I do now?
Right.
Yeah.
No, that's good insight. And I think before I have one more question because I don't want to miss it. And you mentioned your grandma and how she was a big influence there in the beginning, right? I'm interested, maybe one. So she obviously showed you art, started making you understand creativity. What do you take away from her? Maybe 1, 2 lessons that like a really profound impact to you that maybe you still think about?
Well, she would just always tell me like, whenever I felt any type of way to like, make art. Like whenever we were bored, she's always made art. I mean, she was a pretty prolific painter herself, um, and the way that like the world was changing, like with her time, the internet became big. Like so she sold a lot of work on eBay, all over the world. Um, she painted these like cartoon dogs, and did it on everything. So like um, that kind of like motivated me to just keep doing it and like never give up. I mean, that whole side of the family, like it wasn't just my granny. My mom played a part too. She would always give me art supplies and stuff. But my cousin, Selena, who actually passed like pretty young in my life, she um, she gave me this one piece of advice, um, and it was after like I failed an art class, um, very young, because I wasn't coloring in between the lines, and this affected like my whole report card, right? So I got in trouble for this. Um, like they were like, "Why are your grades so bad? You're grounded." Um, but I at that point, I kind of like suppressed art. I didn't want to show a lot of people, but my cousin, she told me like, because she used to babysit me, hey, um, never take this kind of advice from anybody. Just because you draw outside of the lines doesn't mean your art isn't good. Um, and that kind of stuck with me for a while, And now if you look at like Instagram, like popular artists. There's this one guy. I could probably find him on Instagram if I really look. But he's an award-winning artist, and what he does is just color outside the lines all day. Like, people love this shit.
I love it, man. Yeah, that's such a great
There's a
lesson
lesson
for
there.
life. Go ahead,
Yeah.
Maddie.
No, I was just saying that alone, I mean, if more kids could just hear you don't have to paint within the lines, you don't have to color within the lines, that would free a lot of, I mean, there's so much pressure to be a certain thing. And your cousin did you a solid by freeing you of those shackles. And that's amazing.
Yeah, and it's beautiful because someone just chatted. I had exactly that same advice, and I actually listened and didn't do art for 20 to 30 years, and just see how much a difference of interpretation and who knows, you could have been that person if you didn't have that advice, which is it's just such a solid, and which I think kind of makes why we're all here and why Web3 is here, because we are thinking different, right? We see opportunities, and we don't just want to sit at a desk all day. We want to make something of our life because it's short and there's so much potential to do what you can do. So beautiful story, man. I can't wait to clip that out. That's definitely something you're going to need to share. Maddie, anything else before we kind of get into this more graffiti mid-20s and then into Web3?
No, man, I'm ready for it.
Awesome.
Let's move on.
So let's do this, Brain. I know we kind of skipped around a little bit, but what I'm interested in is you found the camera, you found kind of your culture, you're making videos, you're getting into art. Take us through that kind of 20s before we get into Web3. It sounds like you had a corporate job, but you're obviously evolving as an artist as well. So what does that time period look like for you?
So, from a young age, I was smoking a lot of weed. At like 14, all the way up until earlier this year, where I quit.
Congrats on that.
Thanks. It's been like since May, and it's September now. So,
how are you feeling? You
feeling
glad
pretty
you
good.
did it?
Having dreams again. Focusing
Nice.
more. Yeah, not spending all of my money on smelly shit. But that right there, I would wake up, go to the skate park, smoke with some friends. We'd go out, film, and then come back, party all night. And I was sober from drinking for actually 6 years too. I used to drink all day with them. And that was I was part of the Arizona party culture. We just go around and do all this stuff. But yeah, my early 20s, a lot of it was just doing that. And I would travel around the United States for skateboarding, but not really that much. It's kind of boxed in. So once I got away from the skating community, that's kind of when I really seen that I needed to figure out more about life. But near the end of my career, I won a contest with Death Wish, and that's Neen Williams, Beagle, the Baker crew, and all them, big people. And it was Neen's first art show. And that was in between the time that I won the contest and got to the barracks, which was the skate park that they had the next contest at. That's when I got my arthritis and started really feeling it. So once I got there, I seen Neen with his art show, and instead of skating the contest, I was just connecting with him. It really motivated me. It was all right. I grew up seeing Ed Templeton, the artist for Toy Machine, World Industries, and then now I'm seeing my idols like Neen and I mean, I always like Neck Face. I've seen all them like doing art, you know, just like and that was what they really were known for instead of their skateboarding. You know, Neen still skates, but like, you know, so the transition into art from skating, it was like, yeah, I got my arthritis, went to spray painting all the time, and I'll be honest with you, I knew nothing when I first started spray painting. It was a lot of trash. I wouldn't fill in the lines, and because when you're doing that stuff, you kind of do color in between the lines. But I was motivated by Basquiat, actually. Crazy enough, you know, it wasn't like I would look up all these taggers and stuff. Like, I mean, I did, but like I would see Basquiat's story about how he would just go and like write like random things that he thinks about politics, and then like innuendos, and then like draw like these scattered faces and stuff, and that motivated me, and that's kind of how I like got started. And this lasted all the way up until like 2020, where like I went on a whole trip from Arizona all the way around the PNW back to the middle of the country to back to Arizona, trying to sell my art, but also just tagging everything in my way. And yeah, I kind of just like, you know, realized like, tagging stuff is cool and all, but I'm probably gonna get in trouble. And like, I really like found my way in like art. So maybe I'll just try and keep making art, and keep practicing my style there. And you know, I started going to school. I was learning like figure stuff, and continuing with that, and then like I kind of just dropped out because like the COVID stuff.
Was this
Yeah.
art? Was this specifically art school?
Well, I was going to art. I was going to go to art school, but first I wanted to do community college,
Okay.
so that it wouldn't cost that much.
Right.
Yeah, because I probably could have got a scholarship, but either way, ended up finding out more about myself while quitting, and that like 2020 led into me finding out about NFTs from another artist
Right.
that was following me on Instagram, actually.
Nice.
Back from when I used to skateboard.
Sweet. Let's not get into NFTs. You said a lot of fascinating things there, believe it or not. So, couple things. One, you said when you were starting graffiti, you didn't know anything, right? And I think it's this again, this thing we talk about this a lot, and I guess that's all the time. Was it to you as simple as you were really interested in graffiti and you just did it, and that's how you got better? Was it just repetition, or was there something else there?
Well, luckily, my parents let me do it in my backyard
Nice.
when I was living with them in Arizona. They had these back walls, and I would just paint over them every time I was done. So I would practice there. And like I said, that one kid that I used to teach about skateboarding, I also had a crush on his sister, but let's not go into that.
Hey man, love helps.
Though that's how I taught him, was because his sister would always come over to me and like, you know, talk to me, and then like he'd be like, "Oh, teach me how to skate," and I'm like, "Oh man, all right, I'll teach you some things," just like flex with sister. But anyways, yeah, like once he seen that I wanted to get into it, I started, you know, doing it with him, doing the graffiti with him, and like this is where like, you know, I didn't know anything came into play, because like he was in a group, a tagging group, and I thought like, because we were always tagging together, that, you know, that meant that I was like cool to like do like their tag. And then I did their tag, and then the whole group came after me. They're like, yo, you're not part of our group, what are you doing? You're like, you know, you can't do this shit, fuck you, like, you know, like just throwing all this stuff at me.
Got
And
territorial.
luckily I knew all of them, like they were all like a year or two younger than me, and I watched them all grow up as skaters. So like, I pretty much just stood my ground, and I said, yo, like y'all could come after me, but like I pretty much have watched y'all grow up. Like, go ahead, like try something.
Right.
Which you can't always do, you know. Certain groups in graffiti, like if you're in a certain place, like New York, for example, like you can get killed,
Yeah.
be pretty bad. Like I've seen it happen with like some of the other groups, like from Phoenix. They're pretty rough. Yeah, so I never really messed with groups after that. You learn your
Probably a
lesson.
smart move.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like I mean territory and stuff as well. You know, like Maddie said, like you'd be spray painting the wrong side of Mesa, mess with certain gangs. Like, you know, they're
Mm-hmm.
like, well, you can't be doing that here. Like, you know, when I was living in certain part of Hollywood, um, all I would see was MS-13 tags everywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know, I never really thought about it until like one night I went out to spray paint, and then like that's all I really seen. And I thought about my friend back in Mesa who got a gun pulled on him, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm in the wrong part of California. It's probably gonna be way worse if I get caught.
Yeah.
I'm good, you know.
So there's even more, tons more lessons there, a lot of practical stuff about, you know, probably watch what you're doing if you're getting into that ecosystem. But
Yeah.
I'm more interested in what, because you also said this other really interesting insight was you were finding yourself as an artist throughout this time. What does that look like? Because I never went down the art route. Again, is that a lot of trial and error? Are you repeating things that you like to do, that you're good at? I would love to hear kind of your journey of like, how do you find yourself as an artist in your style?
Okay. So I mean, like I said, I always did it, but I quit doing it like publicly, but I would always do it, and I would always make my characters, develop my style, you know. But since I wasn't taking classes for it, it wasn't traditional. It was more cartoon like. Um, I would just do all these characters, and you know, when I was finding myself, it was a lot of just putting color down, and there was actually it's still tagged on my Instagram. I kind of want to take it off, but it's this thing I did where it was like, it was called one painting. You know, I would just color over the same painting every single day, and it started off with an oil painting, and I was just doing oil painting over and over and over again, and like with oil every day, like, you know, it gets rough. Um, and then I ended up sealing it and doing acrylic over it. Um, and yeah, I was finding my style in painting. Um, and yeah, just knowing like, as a skater, you know, you got to fall and get back up 100 times. Going into being an artist, it's like I gotta try and try again until I get something right. Um, Best part about painting, which my grandma and my mom also taught me, is like you could always go over it. So it's like no matter how many mistakes you make, you can always edit those mistakes.
Nice. I love that, dude.
Yeah.
Maddie, what do you got?
Well, I love that just because, you know, it doesn't matter what the skill is. The rules for mastery apply, and I just think it's really cool because at the end of the day, you just did it tens of thousands of times, and once you know it clicks, you free the mental capacity from focusing on being competent to being creative, and it sounds like that's what you were able to do. And I really like that you didn't give some shortcut to that journey. It was, you just have to go through those lumps, and I think that that's what a lot of people sometimes miss, is that like there's no shortcut. You don't just decide tomorrow to be an artist and tomorrow you're an artist. You just got to go through a bunch of notebooks writing ABCs over and over and over again. So I like that.
Nice. Any other questions?
Um,
No, for Maddie, not you, brother. You're
Uh,
not here to
I have
ask
a question, but it kind of
questions.
brings us into NFTs, so I'm not
Yeah.
sure we can.
I'm good with that. I think the only other thing, the only thing I would ask about this before we go into NFTs and Web3, which will be an awesome conversation, is you did, kind of quit. You did some traveling, and there was learning about art, but you also mentioned you learned about yourself. I'm really interested in that. So what are these like developmental, like self realizations that you're starting to get throughout this time period, leading up to 2020?
So once I first like got arthritis, that was when I decided to like go like full sober. No, that's one of the things that like used to hinder me is, and I think led up to my arthritis was cocaine and drinking. I used to have a drug problem. Like it wasn't just cocaine; it was like multiple different things. I never went like super hard. I think cocaine's the hardest. But like I quit everything, quit drinking, and in that time, it's like, okay, I don't really like a lot of the things that I've been doing all my life. Like, I don't fit in here. People just keep trying to push drugs in my face. So like, it was a lot of journaling, a lot of like, when I first started really like going out and like making art, I would not just like sit there and draw, like, but I found that I like jazz clubs drawing. I found that I liked, different types of music that I never really listened to, and it was a lot of that. One of the Kid Cudi songs that like really helped me was like the one where he tells you have to do it yourself. Like I listened to that a lot when I was traveling on the road, and just look around at life and realize I'm small, and the world is really big, the universe is really big.
Right.
So you just got to do what you want, and don't feel like there's limitations, because there's going to be limitations either way. So like you box yourself in, that's all mental.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful, man. Is that's really,
Well said.
really great insight, and I like to just hear from you, like Maddie said earlier. A lot of these same principles bubble up in this podcast, but someone's gonna relate to you now because they were into graffiti. They loved skateboarding, and you talked about how powerful it was to quit all the bullshit and really find yourself. And what the thing I liked that you said the most, which was, I want to do more of. I don't think I do enough, and I wish I would have done it every day when I was going through my major depressive order. Was journaling, right?
Yeah.
Because you think your mind tells you remember, but you really don't. The only way you can do it is by writing down every day and thinking, taking your thoughts away. So I want to get back into that as well, and it's cool to hear that kind of helped you along. Maddie, anything before we get into Web3, or let's do the Web3 journey?
Yeah, man. The question I had kind of bridges it into it anyway.
Go for
So
it.
you were talking about how you realized how territorial graffiti was, and you were giving specific great examples. My question is this, and I might be kind of jumping the gun, and we can always go back to it, Mikey, but did you find that the NFT space and art there is also territorial?
No, that's great. It's a great way to start.
Yeah, so the territorialness of the NFT scene. See, I when I first got involved, the person that like introduced me to like everything, um, he got me into like Rarible, whatever, like told me like what to mint, how to mint, blah blah blah. And we collabed, like, and he said he was gonna mint our collab, put it out there. Never talked about it, never minted it. Didn't like help me out really, like doing anything, um, and wasn't sharing anybody's art, like So I had posted about it, asking him like why he's not doing any of this. Got into a big argument, um, and then like I was still like sort of in my skater phase, right? Not really professional enough, and like my mental wasn't the best. When I first got into NFTs, a lot of people that are from that time, that know me, like you could ask them, like how was BrainPasta back then compared to now? They could say, oh yeah, he was different. Like my mental wasn't that all there. Like I was dark.
Yeah.
I had a lot going on. Like
Yeah.
So I was about to fight him. I was like, yeah, dude, I'll fight you. I don't care. Like you want to talk tough to me? Like it's all right. I'm from Detroit. I grew up skateboarding. Like we
Right.
we don't talk all this noise. We just get down to business. And because of that, like I found out it's like very territorial, and like then a lot of people stopped messing with me. A lot of people stopped buying like my stuff. Like a lot of people wouldn't talk to me, and I had to like reach out to like maybe 20 to 30 different collectors, because this guy was very collected. Reach out to 20, 30 different collectors and tell them all like, hey, I have this like going on in my head. Like, I was in a really dark place. I had just gotten into like this professional kind of thing, and I apologize. And yeah, and a lot of them did like um, change their minds about me. Some of them still won't talk to me, but like a lot of those artists and collectors aren't here anymore,
Yeah.
or
Right.
they're doing different things now. Like they're not even in they're in Web3, but like they're we wouldn't, like our crews and everything wouldn't talk to them. So yeah, it is territorial. I ran into a lot of different things in my first year too. Like there was this burn cult, and they didn't like me for a little bit, and they canceled me. Um, and there was this other community, um, and if you mess with them, like they'll try to cancel you. But in the long run, like a lot of the people that tried to cancel me, it opened up like what they're really about, and it was kind of just like, okay, like you're proving some things about yourself, um, because you're trying to put the shade on somebody that I don't even know why you would cancel them for this kind of stuff. So it's just like proving to a lot of people, like, okay, this person is detrimental, um, or like dangerous, kind of like, um, we shouldn't do business because we're all gonna end up getting screwed over, and a lot of people did get screwed over by a lot of these different groups, because
Interesting.
they were so territorial. Like, you step on our toes, like we're gonna destroy your career. And that was like, no, we're all here to be professional, like not destroy each other's careers.
Right.
So yeah,
Interesting. Do you see
yeah.
the space improving?
Yeah, got way better. But as of now, it's dwelled into different sorts of bad, but like it's just crypto Twitter,
Yeah.
once you're off of crypto Twitter, like specifically, like we have Mikey and all of us, we have a good side of crypto Twitter, right? And I'm bridging together all these good parts of crypto Twitter again, like finding the good people. But
Yeah.
for a while it got dark, especially after the fall of
The,
FTX.
Yeah.
the
Once
heyday.
Yeah,
once that
take us through that time, because I know you
Yeah.
came from like I'm interested in the chronological instances of there, and then we can branch off to a couple things. Matt's question was awesome, and I think you were a great response. But I know you were like Clubhouse days, you minted a Bored Ape. Like, take us through that
Mhm.
kind of time period. And now you also
Yeah.
said it was a little darker for you mentally. But even just, I'm not saying more personally, but like your experience of like seeing this Web3 thing and NFT thing evolve to the crash, and then start taking us through like getting back into it. But let's do that first chunk of like,
Okay.
hey, I'm on Rarible. Oh gosh, there's people, yeah, sounding like monkeys in Clubhouse. I might need to board, my buddy JR is telling me to mint this shit. I don't know about it. And then all of a sudden shit got real. FTX collapsed, the whole market fell apart. Let's talk about that part.
Okay. So I started, on Instagram, got on Rarible, wasn't really selling my first pieces, was more just focused on collaborating. And that's always what I wanted to do. It wasn't like really sell my pieces. Like, it was okay if I just like made a couple bucks. Like if I really needed to, I'll go back to work. But it was kind of like I was really depressed at work, so I wanted to like pursue art. So was collaborating with people, and then one person, I can't remember who, but this one person was like, "Hey, get on Telegram," um, and there's this group called Art Gallery Auction House where we sell art. Okay, I'll try it out. Um, got on there, and I was also in this group chat like for artists. Shout out to Shiv. Um, I can't even remember all their names, but like Shiv, I think Shiv probably got me on Telegram. So like shout out Shiv.
Mm.
Anyways, oh yeah, Shiv, Senpai, and the others. But got onto Telegram, Art Gallery Auction House, and in Art Gallery Auction House, I would see all these emerging artists coming in. And they're the artists now like that are big. Um, for example, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but this one dude who he gets collected by everybody. He worked with like SZA, is on billboards. Like Procreate used him for an ad. Adobe used him for an ad. Um, anyways, I would see all these auctions, they were selling for like 0.1 to like an ETH and like sometimes higher. They liked my attitude when I went in there and I was all talking to all them. So the guy who was running it, Daniel, he asked me if I wanted to work with them. I said, yeah. So I got a job there getting paid 0.1 a week to auction off pieces, and people would come in the auction house. I would help them sell their NFTs. And that, like I said, emerging artists. This is 2020.
Yeah.
A lot of the people who started like the 2020 to 21 like boom were there, and they got to meet me. And I was selling their stuff. So like it went from me selling their stuff to them asking me, "Hey, where's your stuff, BrainPasta?" So I'm like, oh yeah, well I have pieces, you just don't ask about it. Like this whole time I'm collaborating, and I minted my, or I put up my first piece in an auction. It sold for 0.08, right? And then that person went on a week later to sell it for 1 ETH. And from there, I'm like, okay, well, I got something here. I made my first collection, which happened to be off-rareable, which was on OpenSea, and it was called Glitch Cartoons. And the idea of this collection was there's nothing promised. It's literally just me learning how to animate. And I seen Xcopy and I seen some like glitch artists and I thought they were really cool. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna try and glitch. So I made this collection, and I didn't care if I'd sell them. I was just putting them out one after another, and then eventually, somebody bought them all up, and then my friend who had bought a bunch of them, he told me like, "Hey, BrainPasta, you should get on Clubhouse." I never listened to him, right? Just went straight to Twitter. And then people on Twitter were also buying my pieces. And then one of my collectors from Twitter was like, "Hey, get on Clubhouse now." And when he told me that, I reached out back to my old friend who told me, I'm like, "Hey, do you have an invite?" And he sent me an invite. His name is Asian Junkie. And I don't know where he is now. He was pretty down bad for a minute. Really good artist, but yeah, he invited me to Clubhouse, and then from there, I was introduced to Jen Stein and Zico. Zico was the one who was collecting my work. He pulled me into a room. Jen Stein bought my piece right away and then said, "Hey, I usually don't do this. I only buy Genesises, but BrainPasta, this piece is very cool. So I got one of your pieces." I'm like, "Oh, cool." And then every night and like in the day, I would go through these rooms, and I met like Gabe Wise, Sabet, Dario, and all them, and I would host my own rooms. And my room used to be called the Smoke Sesh. People come in, we just smoke all day, joke around, rap, do all that. Best part about Clubhouse, I could start this room, and then you could leave it without the room ending. So I would go around to all these other rooms, find out the alpha, talk to all these funny people, come back to my room. People are still talking about my stuff. We're talking about smoking, like whatever. And it was fun. And before the Bored Ape days, I had there was this room where Zico had a profile picture. It said like legalized ranch, and I started rapping about ranch. Lasted like 4 hours. My friend Rodriguez was also like rapping about ranch. We just 4 hours. Hundreds of people came in this room. Came and went. Right. I had made an NFT where it was like a dancing ranch bottle. Put it in my Glitch Cartoons collection. The next day, I was in this one big room, and everybody's talking about serious stuff, and I'm just unmuting and going, ranch. And some people started laughing. Nobody really knew where it was coming from, because on Clubhouse you could have more than 50 people on a stage. And I just keep doing that, ranch. And then another day goes by, and then I start saying things like ranch it up, like ranch, like, and everybody starts saying ranch too, right? And then big artists after like a week had started making these pieces with ranch, and they were selling them for like thousands of dollars. And at that point, I'm like, yo, I kind of started this little craze with ranch.
You started the ranch meta, bro.
The ranch
That's
meta.
wild.
I'm like, yo, nobody bought my ranch piece though. Like, what's up with that? Immediately, somebody bought it right there. And then people like Gabe Wise and this one dude named Michael who used to be a big collector in the space. He came to me and they were like, yo, what do you want to do with this ranch thing? Because you got a movement here. I'm like, let's start like this DAO type thing where we donate money to this girl who has a brain disease. And I knew her father, knew her. She's like 5 years old, in the hospital her whole life for neuroblastoma. Within a week, we raised over $150,000 for this girl.
Wow.
Help pay her bills. We had people like MC Hammer, Paris Hilton, all like I said, all the big artists in the space were doing ranch pieces, and there was even like porn stars were coming into my space because I was kind of fringe. I did all these like different things. Like people would come to my space because they like me, and I collabed with this artist called Pepe Cash Trillionaire or something, Marty, and because of him, that porn star had like came into my room, Brittany Andrews, and she had wanted to collab with me, and I was like, yeah, for sure. And then she found out about the branch stuff and all that, and I had yeah, we just got that going, whatever. I had released a piece with her. It sold for 1 ETH, right? So yeah, the ranch stuff was doing very good. It even to the point where Hidden Valley almost made a deal with us. And because of the porn stuff, like they seen a porn star pouring ranch on herself. And that was also that was another collab that I did. I had just animated it to like make her like all glitchy and cool. They seen that and then they backed out. Hidden Valley. But either way, I didn't know about this, so it's not like I knew that Hidden Valley was on the line and we're about to get $4 million. No, like I was told like a year later, hey, you actually screwed over this deal with me with Hidden Valley because of the porn star stuff. I'm like, bro, why would you just tell me not to do that?
Right.
That's hilarious.
If you would have said something, I would have been like, okay, no porn stars, get to keep it PG. Let's keep Ranch holy. But yeah, did some stuff with Ranch, and then shortly after that, I was hosting a room, and this guy named James, I think Westfall or something, came into my room and he goes, I was stoned. I was so stoned. Comes to my room and goes, hey, BrainPasta, you should do this Bored Ape thing. You should mint it. Like they're still minting. There's people like Beanie Maxi, Loopify, all of these big names, Pranksy. They're all buying apes right now. I'm like, I didn't like generative art at the time, especially profile pictures. Like some generative art I thought was cool, but like profile pictures I didn't like. I looked at them and I thought, oh, these have no soul. Like, I'm looking at just there's no light in the eye. Like I look at it into a soulless eye. I don't like it. I had the chance to buy punks, but I didn't, because of that. But he's like, no, just trust me, you should do it. So I went to the website, looked at it, and then I seen that one of them was like stoned. I'm like, oh, they smoke weed. I'm like, well, tell him, I'm like, I do smoke weed, and I gotta admit, I like monkeys. So at that point, I minted one, and I should have minted a lot more, but I was going to. I went to bed, and I remember this exact dream because the whole thing changed my life. The dream was I minted 2 more in the dream. Woke up, went to the website, minted out. Like, oh no. So at that point, went on the secondary market. By the way, at this time, like I had tons of money from selling my own art. bought 2 of them right away on the secondary. One of them was from OSF actually, and from there, like the first clubhouse room that I seen with Bored Apes, it was like Farouk, a bunch of like big names at the time, popped in there. They were like, yo, we should go raid some rooms and make monkey noises. And like, all right, JR was in there too, I hadn't really him and I were friends, but we weren't like really good friends yet. Like, my first actual art show that I ever did was in LA. And this was before Bored Apes, but like his art was there. I think it was his art show, but it was on Melrose. And I showed up with the canvas and I asked them, hey, can I put this in the window? And they're like, yeah, sure. And that was my first ever art show.
That's
where I
cool.
consider like, yo, I'm exhibited. Yeah, it's pretty cool. But yeah, rated rooms with monkey noises. Some people thought it was problematic, but we were just like, no, nothing's wrong with it. Like, we're just having fun. There was this one room, and it was it was like some Asian room, and it was like their time. It was like morning time. And for us, it was like, but it was like early morning time for them. Us, it was like, some like maybe nighttime or whatever. We raided this one room, and they were all speaking, whatever language they were. They let us all up on stage, because in those rooms in Clubhouse, you could moderate people, and then once like one person gets the moderator, you can keep adding moderators. It's not like 3 hosts on Twitter Spaces. So it's like, one person, one ape got the moderator. He modded everybody that was an ape, brought us up on, and then, we all started making the noises, whatever. This guy goes, no, baby's sleeping, no. Because baby was sleeping.
Oh my gosh.
Everybody ended up leaving. And I was the one that stayed back, and I was like, hey, we didn't mean to like disrespect or anything. It's just this Bored Ape project, just minted out. We're all super happy. We wish best wishes, and I hope your community and ours can get along in the future. And that ended up being the Wall Street Bets community.
Oh.
Yeah, so I was
Look
cool
at
with
that.
I was cool with the Asian Wall Street Bets community after that, because like, they would contact me about stuff like,
Right.
I don't know them really anymore, because honestly, that was Clubhouse days, but yeah, freaking that was cool. They ended up getting into apes like big time. But yeah, so that's the ape side of things.
So
From
real
there,
quick before there,
yeah,
because I want to be cognizant of time as well.
yeah,
We've been jamming for well over an hour at this point, and it's been amazing. But I do want to talk about this, and we talk about this a lot. That was an amazing experience, and you did some really cool things.
mm,
How much do you credit to timing? How much do you credit to um, thinking about things differently? Because we've heard this awesome background about how you like to think about things differently. Talk
mm.
to us about that time and that kind of magical moment. What are your thoughts there?
Right place, right time. Like I couldn't be more thankful that I did jump in on this when it was happening. It's like, when you do see new trends in markets and things, like it usually plays an advantage if you take a chance early, like
Yeah,
AI, for example.
yeah,
All the
Yeah.
people that learned how to use AI tools very early were then able to bring these tools to the people that wanted to learn about it and teach them. I have a friend in Miami who teaches people AI at a college level. And he didn't go to school for this. Like, you can't go to school for this. Like, he
right.
would sit in clubhouse rooms and we just talk about new tech. So, yeah, right place, right time. And something that I did realize about NFTs and art as a whole, once I got into NFTs, was my ability to like experiment and find out what people liked and what people didn't like, because I could just make something new, put it at a certain price, like low, whatever, like, and then people would like really connect with it, in the real world. I can't get into too many galleries especially at that time. I mean, I am now, but like at that time, nobody wanted to put me into anything. So it's like I couldn't experiment really and see what was working. You had to have like crowd, you had to have the right knowing, you had to have like all that. And it's like, if you don't, you better hope you have money. Because if you don't have money, like to set up your own thing, then you're pretty much just shooting fish in a barrel with no light. And NFTs really opened that up for me. Experimenting.
That's and that's awesome, fascinating insight. Maddie, anything before we kind of move on?
Yeah, so you were there at that amazing time. Do you think for artists it's still the place to be in terms of opportunities? I mean, you were saying how hard it is traditionally with galleries. Is it still the advantage? Obviously, it's not as much as it was because you were so early, but is it still the advantage, do you think? Do you think it's still the next phase?
So, I think that every artist should try it out, right? I think every artist should like play a part in like putting their stuff in the blockchain. I don't think you do have the advantage anymore. And it was different, like asking somebody from 2020 if they think everything's the same is kind of like, most people are going to say definitely not.
Yeah.
But
so what you're saying, that early mover advantage is now gone.
Yeah. But there's still things like that. Like new blockchains, new technology is always popping up in the blockchain workspace, Web3 and everything. Like, for example, SEI token, like they dropped an NFT protocol. One of my friends who never really made it on ETH, he was like, okay, well, I'm gonna drop some NFTs on Say. I never paid attention to it, right? I mean, you seen him in the space the other day. I don't know if you were there, Mikey, but that fuckers community, they're called fuckers. Yeah, that's my friend. That's my friend from ETH. He never really made it as an ETH artist. Now his project has over 60 to 70,000 volume on it. So like,
Nice.
There's still an early mover's advantage, but you have to pay attention. It's not just like, when I got involved, it was like, oh, what's this new thing? It's so shiny. And if you're a good artist, it's like, okay, yeah, like that's definitely the cool new shiny thing. Like this one's kind of rough and shiny. I don't want that one. This one's a little smoothed out. Let me get that one. So, like if you knew a little bit about art, you were able to do a lot of stuff. But like, you just had to really pay attention and like not be afraid. You gotta be willing to take chances. Because if you don't take chances, then you're never gonna find out. A lot of people in crypto say fuck around and find out. I use that a lot, because it's like in art, fuck around and find out. And then, what's the worst that can happen? You're gonna lose. Who cares?
Right. Yeah.
Unless you're losing, hundreds of thousands of dollars, which I don't think you will, just putting out art. You have a lot of people that are so willing to support, at least like give you a good critique.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. I love it, man. I love it. So let's talk about, because I do want to talk about this current iteration. But real quick before we get there and then start winding it down, what was it like to see this just It's almost like ecstasy, right? Like everybody is helping each other out. You're seeing this new thing. You're like, holy shit, I'm making thousands of dollars. But then, like everything, it never lasts forever and it all falls apart.
Mhm.
When did that happen? What was that moment of like you saw like, oh shit, this is falling apart? And what did that look like to you?
So around December of 21, going into 22, right? I mean, things got pretty dark for me before things got dark in the crypto world. It was like I was doing very well, but at the same time, I realized a lot of people around me weren't my friends.
Right.
They were just, trying to get a piece of the pie. They didn't care about my feelings. They didn't care about anybody else's feelings. They didn't care if anybody got hurt. And all of my genuine friends I pushed away because they all thought I was either crazy or like I said, they were putting drugs in my face. A lot of the people I grew up with, I pushed away when I got arthritis because they made fun of me because I was complaining about my ankle a lot. So like I had no friends, no real friends. The people that were my friends, I like, yeah, I have some of them, and they're still around in my crew, in my community now. But um, like that's why I'm saying I wasn't as close to JR, and I wish I would have been, because like he's a good friend, he's a good guy, at that time. But anyways, yeah. So the crash, it was December going into 2022. Once Other Side happened, Other Side Mint. I think that was like kind of like the big catalyst. It was like I was on the phone with Gabe Wise. He wanted me to mint a piece for him. He didn't send me enough in gas, and I told him, like, bro, you didn't send me enough in gas. It's gonna be way more expensive. Sure enough, Mint comes around. It was over $3,000. No, it was actually 2 ETH, and at the time, ETH was near its top, so it was around 6,000. And so I'm just like screaming at him on the phone. He's like, bro, it's okay. Don't worry. I'm like, it's all going to hell. I look at all my friends around me. I'm like, this is bad. Y'all don't realize how bad this is. Nobody was talking about it. All my friends weren't talking about how bad it was. And I'm like, no, y'all don't realize this is going to be like a catalyst. Like things are going to happen after this. And then FTX happened. Um, and then at that point, you seen people like it was like blood was boiling. People that were once friends were like, no, we're not really friends. Fuck you. Like, yeah, people were telling each other they'd fight each other on Twitter every day. People were telling each other like all these things. Like they were being nasty. And at that point, a lot of people that like never listened to me when I told people people were being nasty, they were coming back around to me. So it's not like I did the worst in that time. Actually, my numbers started going up, like viewer wise, because I would host spaces during this time. Um, I would get like 200 to 300 people in my spaces, and we would just talk about like random shit, you know. And about how everything was going to shit. And so I went from living in like a penthouse. I also got scammed. I missed that. I missed out on that part. On the run up to like the top of it, I lost $60,000 in a scam. Yeah. Luckily, I still had my NFTs. Was able to make it back in like 2 weeks from just selling everything. But didn't sell my Bored Ape. Sold a lot of other things. But yeah. So having already gotten scammed, having already gone through all this stuff, like my mental's already bad. But like I'm hosting spaces, not sleeping. Went from a penthouse right before I got scammed all the way to my friend's couch. And not wanting to go back to the penthouse. and I was living in my car at one point in 22. Also multiple points actually. But sold my ape at 100 ETH right before it tanked. That was like, I sold that right when there was that video about like them being like the big video on YouTube from Paulie and like Ryder Rips that like talked a bunch of shit. That was right when I sold my ape, because everybody was like, the whole run up was like, oh, we don't care what they think. But at that point, when the video got like over 1 million views in the first couple of hours, like, oh shit, I should sell this right now. And lived off that for like a year in Cali before I moved back home with my parents. Because eventually I just ended up, I was renting my friend's sister's room at their parents' house. I just thought to myself, why am I even here when I could just go home with my parents? They just bought a farm.
Right.
So yeah, been ever since then, like, you know, I've been traveling around, coming back to the farm, traveling around, coming back to the farm. But in that time, you know, in the 2021, I was doing a bunch of shows, whatever. But I've become more established, like big time. Traveling around the world, doing shows in every different place, getting bigger gigs. People have realized, like, oh, this artist is doing stuff, and he's not like one of those artists that just like gives up. And his stuff's like pretty cool, and like all the people that like tried to dim my light, you know, it didn't dim. Like a lot of collectors from that time actually, like whenever they see my new stuff now, or like whenever they even see my stuff, they're like, "How did I never see you?" Oh, I feel like I was shadow banned by the cabal because I spoke out too much.
Right.
Yeah.
But one of the things I hear there that's really interesting is not giving up, right?
Yeah.
And not only did you say, okay, NFTs are probably dead right now, then you took that and said, hey, they at least gave me a spark to become the artist that I am, and then you started traveling the world to share your art. Is taking away from the downfall, and the period we talked about before. Is that kind of your biggest takeaway, is the fact that you didn't give up? Is there anything else now when we talk about coming back into this space? Like, what do you reference that time, and how is that going to help you this time around as you're, you know, you re-release your collection, you're getting back into spaces and stuff? What do you look back and how did that equip you better for this time?
Well, during the down times, I got a lot of anxiety again. And, you know, once you stop selling for the first time, like, you get like imposter syndrome, and that all hit me back in 21. And then there was like whole waves, the whole months where like nobody was selling in the art world, in NFTs. So it's the biggest takeaway, yeah, is not giving up and like just keep going. You know, in 2022, when like everything was red and shit, that's when I started making the character. Like, I had sold out my first project, or my first derivative collection sold out. And I all my glitch cartoons weren't listed anymore. And I made a concept drawing. It was Brain Toad. Punks bought it. A bunch of these other like artists bought it and listed it at 5 ETH. Told them all, just hold on to it. I'm gonna make a collection. But yeah, that takeaway was not to give up, because like, you know, throughout everything, I've seen multiple artists give up. Multiple people give up, go back to their jobs. I hear them now; they're still struggling. You know, even if they have jobs, they're still struggling. The ones that end going to school and like learning things, you know, doing things that they actually wanted to do, besides art, because they still want to do art, but like, engineers and stuff, they may be living good. But like, that's also a takeaway from it, like if you, it's also your dream, like, you don't have to quit. Like, you don't have to like never give up on those dreams, because like if you want to be an engineer and you just needed some money to do it, like, and then you got it, like, eventually you'll end up getting it if you keep working hard. um unless we have like a giant global economy crash, and like the only way to like really um make money is, and at that point it's like it's not even money anymore, it's like corn. Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's different, but yeah, no, I've seen a lot of people like keep pushing and like become like really what they want to be in life.
Yeah.
And me going from zero, I had $1,000 maybe to my name when I first got into NFTs.
Yeah.
And then I minted a Bored Ape, and I also sold like 60 grand at least of my art within like the first couple months.
Right.
You know, I just kept going, and right place, right time. But also like, if I would have gave up after like the first month, I wouldn't have did anything. I wouldn't
Yeah.
have gotten anywhere. I wouldn't have gotten on. I got on Super Rare as a collab back in 2020. You know, that's also something I want the people listening to know. Like, always reach out to artists. Always reach out to people you want to work with. What's the worst they'll say? No. Oh
Right.
well. Putting it out there doesn't hurt. Always
Yeah.
keep trying. You know, the worst thing you could do is live a life full of regrets, that you didn't try, that you didn't do something. When you actually have the means and you actually have it all, you're too old, or you're too frail, or you're too like, you don't have enough time then.
Yeah.
Well, damn, don't you wish you would have did it when you did?
Yeah.
I know things are hard, but like, it's life is hard.
Yeah.
Shouldn't make it harder.
Yeah.
So kind of winding down a little bit, I'm really interested in your current. So let's talk about your collection a little bit. But one of the things that you said that I think we should touch on is this whole rising tide lifts all ships. And I'd love that your mentality on how do you think we can do it this way? Because we don't have the pure, just excitement of all the money that you can make. And people are a little more established. People are a little more smarter to the scams. It's definitely different. But I do see, in my perspective, people like yourself and other OG people like JR that probably swore off the space at one point coming back because they still do see opportunity, and it's coming in the form of community and friendships and finding the right people. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Platform. Like, if you have a platform, put people on. Like, don't be afraid to share it. Just like what you're doing now, Mikey. You have this show. You're down to do stuff with emerging people. Like, that's a big part of it. All we could really do is work together. And I mean, like, every time I get opportunities, I used to have curator in my bio on Twitter. So like, when people would invite me to shows, they'd also ask me, who do I think should also come? Um,
Right.
you know, um, some of my biggest collectors, something that they do often is just say like, oh, yeah, also look at this person.
Yeah.
Like, my friend Tech Keys, for example. Um, he's a 3D artist, and he wasn't making that much money at his craft, like, in the past like year or 2 years. Randomly, like, this past year, he's gotten all different types of gigs, like, because of just certain people like allowing him to use their platform. And like, yeah, it's if we all work together instead of like being selfish, you know, you can be selfish, but like be selfish as a team. You know, we're
Yeah.
not gonna just like the GME story like is so inspirational to me because it's like go against the system that's suppressing us.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if that's really what it's about anymore, even, but like, you know, when you all work together to go against the people that are suppressing you, like you'll eventually like get somewhere. And in that form, it's like the traditional galleries that don't want you, like, you know, we do stuff so differently to the point where like the actual collectors and the gallerists are looking at us like, why are they having so much fun?
Right.
And that's
I
something that
like that.
we all used to say that, you know, because that was something that actual galleries and actual collectors, that was the takeaway from Miami Art Basel 2021. Why are these people having so much fun?
Right.
Who are these people? You know?
And how do we get back there? Through platforms and uniting and having more fun, like we do in our space, man. Our space is just
Yes.
fun, right?
Yeah.
It's just fun. Maddie, I asked a lot of questions. I want you to be able to chime in before we wind her down here.
No, I mean, I think that you're saying a lot there. You're overlapping a lot of success concepts and just entrepreneurial concepts as well. I mean, listen, your life that you described of just having very little, selling a bunch, going from penthouse to sofa to apartment to your parents' house is the story of a lot of the greatest entrepreneurs of all time. It's like this trial and error is part of the journey. um, what I think is really cool is how consistent you've been with just following what you know to be true to yourself. And I think that, for even just Mikey and I with this podcast, it's easy to, I mean, geez, you can start something and it's very easy to sit there and be like, well, it's saturated. This has already been done. There's too many people that have done it. No one's going to be the next Joe Rogan. But it's like, that's how all this stuff happens. And if you just keep putting yourself out there, keep meeting the right people, keep networking, things are going to open up. Doors are going to open up, and you don't know when it's going to be. And I think that that's a really good message overall for people to hear.
Yeah, totally agree. So let's do this, man. I want you to give a second about talking about your current artwork. I know most artists probably don't like to prop themselves or get, prop themselves up, but I want you to be able to talk about your current collection, how much is left. I know it's super cheap. One of the things that was really cool was to see you talk about it a little bit in a very humble way. And then our next space people showed up with pasta PFPs, which was so freaking cool. And I bought like 7 or 8 myself because the artwork is so dope. So let's talk about that, and then maybe the next 6 to 12 months. What do you think about? What are you excited about? And then we'll close it out. We have one final question we always ask, and Maddie and I will do our closing comments, and we'll call it a day.
Okay. So yeah, Brain Toads. That's a collection that I recently opened back up for mint. Started October 22nd. No, October 30th of 2022. The mint is now $8.50 because the price of ETH went down. And yeah, it's a collection of traits that I worked on for months. Got some one of ones in there, a bunch of them still. This collection has a cool community also behind it. The aspect is pretty dope. If you want to buy my art for, a lot of people don't want to pay a crazy price. That's why like I do all the work that I do, traveling and everything, to like meet the people that are right for that, and do shows to like because I know my worth, right? But if you want to support, it's only $8, right? It's very, very easy. And then you get invited to one of my groups. In that group, you get a chance to join the giveaways. That's also my dev team made a tool where like you don't, it's not a snapshot, right? If you connect your wallet, it automatically shows that you have a brain toad. So you can go and buy a brain toad after the giveaway started, still be entered into this giveaway. And the giveaway isn't just going to be NFTs, right? I'm going to give away a shirt. I'm going to give away some stickers. I'm going to give away a whole bunch of stuff. So yes, it's a chance to get into that community. Brain toads, like when I ended the mint the first time, it was because I opened up a mint of brain crocs, right? So brain crocs I started pretty much when I ended, like when I opened up the mint for brain toads, I started drawing brain crocs, right? And brain crocs, it was like I was doing these concept drawings, like just messing around, like doing all these traits, and everybody liked the videos, right? So I worked on that a little bit, and it was cool. It was cool. And then eventually, I did layers the whole time. You know, I wasn't just drawing this character with this stuff on it. Like I did layers, and I thought to myself, Brain Toad is facing left. And some psychology that like my friends and I noticed about the whole NFT scene, they like PFPs facing right. You don't really see a lot of PFPs facing left because of like the spaces and stuff. So Brain Croc is facing right. His head is bigger, so you can see all the traits clearly without, you know, having to zoom in on some of them. And I felt like it was more Brain Toad was fine art, where Brain Croc is brandable. So the idea behind it was you could mint 6 of them for free if you had a Brain Toad, and that was a snapshot thing. And yeah, it was like I opened that October 30th of 2023. So it's been a little bit since I opened that. Now it's like, you know, September, and one reason why I opened Brain Toad Mint back up is because there's one of ones that people never got to see. So I dropped the price very low. All the holders of Brain Toads originally, I airdropped them all, gave them an extra one, and yeah. The one of ones are now available, $8. Brain Crocs are like, you know, 0.015. And that mint is still open as well. And I'm not going to close that one because I worked with about like 20 to like 25 different artists.
Nice.
One of ones in that collection. Like there's a Sabet piece. There's a Rayler's Dan piece. He's a Rare Pepe artist. Marlon Pru's piece. Sasha Chudo. Tech Keys. Darko. I mean, the names just keep going. But anyways, yeah. So that's with that. You know, I've been looking into making plushies. Looking into making a lot of cool things with the Brain Toads. Just got these stickers made.
Sweet.
This was a sample one, so it has a little mark on the front from like some sticker thing from the package. Got a Brain Toad sticker.
Those things are so cool.
Got a whole pack of stickers here. You know,
sweet.
Freaking, so I'm stickered up. People are gonna be able to have those at the events and stuff. And yeah, I don't stop going to events. That's one thing that everybody's noticed about me. A lot of the Web3 stuff, they see BrainPasta there. Like for example, Lisbon. I was in Lisbon. I had my art up, like I was painting there. People were telling me like, "Yo, this is the best experience like in the whole place." Like, you know, I don't really like gaming, but I'm getting to see an artist who's actually good at paint, and they're having fun. You know, in Italy, I was around great artists, but like a lot of people like came to me and like told me like, "Yo, like you were like the life of this thing." I was around Pepe Angelo, like, you know, and she's fucking brilliant. she was down into her work, like really doing it. But I was out there talking to everybody, like, yeah, let's have a good time,
Yeah.
while painting, doing my thing, and I can finish my piece, but like at the same time, made everybody feel good. And
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things as well. Like, you can just make people feel good, be a part of it. We can't make these gallerists look at us and say, why are they having so much fun if we're not having fun?
Right.
So yeah, you'll see BrainPasta at all these events in the next couple of months. Should have plushies out by then. It's a process. I don't know if I'm gonna go to Asia and source because it costs a lot of money,
Right.
but I may. And yeah, just lots of cool stuff coming from me. Never gonna stop, and yeah, maybe even music festival stuff.
Oh, there we
Yeah,
go.
getting into
I,
that because the homie's been doing it, and he really wants me to do visuals.
I love it, man. That's awesome. And it's just was such an incredible journey. Maddie, I'm gonna let you say your closing comments. I'll say mine, and then we'll call it a day, brother. I mean, it's been awesome. It's been really, really cool.
Yeah, I'll be brief. This has been really fantastic. One, just getting back into the mode of things, but it just reminded me of how much I love doing this and how much I love meeting new, interesting, fantastic people. Because your story is wild in terms of growing up and just the influences that you had. And one of the things I think is very interesting is you mentioned so many times where something external pushed you into a new direction. And I just think it's really cool to see the combination of those things, from not being good at baseball or basketball or football and ended up as a skater, and then with the arthritis pushing you into art and tagging, and then the influences, of course, from your family and their art, and learning to say, my favorite line was when you said drawing outside of the lines from your cousin doesn't mean your art is bad. And you took this stuff, ran with it. You took some risks, and you get knocked down. That's the things that happen. That's part of life. But you've shown a consistency and a tenacity, and I just really think it's so cool that it's paid off for you. So it's been a pleasure.
That was beautiful, Maddie. And I forgot our closing question. Do you have one more question before I do the comments? Pasta, you said it was your first kind of video podcast. How do you think the time on Midlife Crisis went? Did we do you justice? Did you have a good time? Give us critical feedback, man. You've heard me talk about my podcast on the space, and now you've been a guest and gone through it. So hit us.
Yeah, it's fun. It was actually good. No, I liked it. I noticed for myself, like maybe next time I should get a camera and like a stand with the camera. Yeah, because I'm looking down most of the time. But other than that, no, it was a good time. I enjoyed it. I always like talking about stories and people asking me things because without proof of it happening, we're like, bear shit in the woods. Did it really shit in the woods?
Thanks for the feedback, man. I mean, we're really here to just, one, the product of making you feel special, but also give people insight about you and success and mentorship and all of these different things that came out. And that's what I'll go into my closing comments. It's really cool to me that you talked about skateboarding and creativity and artists, but we got so many like life lessons about how you were successful. And there are a lot of tried and true principles, right? One being that we talked about a lot: never give up. It's very easy to say, it's very easy to hear, but until you hear somebody that maybe you can relate to go through theirs, then it makes it easy to understand. And that's what I love what we do is you just helped somebody that listened to this tonight or in the future understand that it is okay to fail and that you should not give up, because look what could happen. You said you had $1,000 to your name, man. And you're
Yeah.
talking about making up $60,000 in a couple months. I mean, that's a pretty drastic change, right? And now you're traveling the world, you're doing art. And the last thing, having fun, and that's what I have noticed about us talking and in spaces. And then just tonight, Maddie and I love doing this because I just thoroughly enjoy it. Whether I'm going to make money or not is something that is not going to deter me from doing this the rest of my life, because I just love meeting new people. And you shared intimate details about yourself, and ultimately you gave us time, man. You gave us an hour and 45 minutes of your time, by the way, which is a long time for somebody like you that's busy and could be painting or drawing now. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. I really do mean it. This is the beginning of a beautiful friendship, and we're going to grow together through the district, through our friendship, and collaborating together in the space, and seeing where the future takes us, man. So thank you so much for everything. I really, really appreciate it.
Rock on, Mikey, Maddie. It's been good.
All right. And with that being said, people, we are calling it a day. Midlife Crisis podcast coming to a close. We will be trying to book this time Monday, 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. EST, and then Friday mornings at 9 a.m. EST. Unfortunately, 6 a.m. PST, my time. Those are the two slots that Maddie and I have found that work for us, that we'll be doing going forward. So stay tuned. Weekly updates of podcast guests. Brain, if you can just hold on a minute or two after I close it down, I want to do a couple more follow-ups. Just don't want to do it on camera.
Cool.
So much love, people. We freaking love you all. Mikey G, Maddie Mintz, and Brain are outie.